What's going on, everyone? Today I'll be going over and reviewing Zooscape, a new game from TMG. Now, at first glance, you probably look at this game and think, what are these cards? Who's the giraffe? What does that one card mean? Why don't these birds have that card? And who is the vet? Is she a good card? And who is John the Hunter? Am I correct? Because that's exactly what I was thinking, especially while I was reading the rules. I was like, no idea how to play this. But since there are no how-tos on the internet yet, I had to read the rule books and figure it out on my own. And it wasn't as hard as I thought it would be. So let's go ahead and figure out how to play this game and come back and I'll talk about it a little bit. So in the game, you have three important cards to know. The manager card, which is pretty much the player who's in charge at the moment, the cage card, and the clipboard. Because each player is going to have a first and a second zookeeper, which correlates with the cage. And you're going to have 10 fish for people who don't end up getting cards on that turn. But I'll explain that later. So go ahead and take all your cards and separate them into decks depending on how many players there are. Now, if we're playing a 3-player game, which is what I'm going to set up, you should have 5 decks of 8. So once you decide who the manager is, give them all 3 cards, manager, clipboard, and cage. Take one of the decks. Go ahead and just lay them all out. So although you can't see everything, I have all the cards laid out. They're supposed to be laid out in a straight line, but I'm just going to put these cards down here, and I'm actually just going to do this. So I've split it up with 5 cards on top, 3 cards on the bottom, and I'm going to put my cage right here, indicating that this row is separate from this row. This is the first row, this is the second row, okay? So now everyone who's playing is going to take, one side of their zookeeper, depending on what cards they want. Okay, do I want, in this row there's 3 wolves, a snake, and a chameleon. In this row there's a wolf, bird, and hunter. Well, the hunter makes you lose 4 points, so I don't really want that. But I feel like everyone's going to contest for 1. So let's see what everyone chooses. So all the players put out their cards simultaneously and then reveal. So 2 players are contesting for first. This player receives the bottom row. Let's take a look at the wolf. He's worth 2 points. You can get 3 of them, so that'd be 6 points. But once you get more than 3, every card that is a wolf is now minus 1 point. They are no longer 2. So if I have 4 wolves at the end of the game, that's minus 4 points. If I have 3 wolves, that is plus 6 points. A bird does not have a limit, so you can collect as many birds as you want. They're all worth 4 points. The hunter's just worth a minus 4 at the end of the game. Nothing too crazy about it, but he could be pretty hurtful. Now, how do we contest? Okay, here's a row of animals being contested. I will give my manager card. I'll give my manager card to the player to the left. He is now going to take the cage card and split up the deck. Okay, well, I think how I'm going to split this is this side's going to have the chameleon and the snake. This side's going to have the 3 wolves. So somebody can go straight for 6 wolves, or somebody can go straight for 3 wolves, which means they can no longer collect wolves. You see how strategy's building here? Or they can go for the chameleon and snake. So now that splits. So the players go. They both choose the first row. Now, I'm just going to introduce this now, but throughout the game, he's supposed to just be laying out on one of the sides of the cages, okay? The manager clipboard will be on either side of a cage during the same time that you're placing down the cage. Make sure you're placing down a clipboard on either side, okay? But since he wasn't in this game, I'll just explain how he works. So they both are contesting for first again. All these cards that weren't chosen, they go under the clipboard. Now, if this clipboard were to be in play, whoever gets the clipboard gets all the cards underneath it. If nobody ends up getting the clipboard, it'll be placed in the next deck for distribution. But it doesn't distribute. You don't distribute all the cards under it. You distribute the clipboard, and I'll show that in the next round. So now this gets contested again, split right down the middle. And they go again. So they end up, oh wow, now they both have one of each side, so they all get one card at least. But let's say that didn't happen. And here's a new card right here. Let's say they both, again, contested for the first spot. Well, we're just going to go ahead and not use this. Nobody gets this. They're both going to get distributed in the next deck. However, since nobody got a card that turn, they both get fishes. Because fishes are hard. Fishes aren't that hard to catch. So they're both going to get a fish. Now, let's start the next round. And just for the sake of the video, I'm just going to distribute just a few cards. So, while it's supposed to be 8 cards, I just distributed 5 just to show you guys how the clipboard works. So, he takes the manager, who should have been passed during the every time players are contesting, just to keep passing the manager around. So he's always going to be going around in circles. So whoever has a manager now, they're going to split the deck. And let's introduce the clipboard. So this is supposed to be happening every round, but I think it's a little complicated to learn at first. So now I'm going to introduce it to the second round, the clipboard, with all the cards underneath it. I'm going to place him on this side of the deck. So now the second side of the cage has 3 cards, while the first side has 2 cards plus everything under the clipboard. And then you repeat. You start playing, you contest, you keep contesting until it's all until everybody has a card, and if nobody gets a card, give them fish. If you don't have to contest, just give them the cards. If the cards aren't ever chosen, if cards are never actually taken, you just put them in the next deck or you put them on the clipboard. It's a very simple game once you start playing it, once you kind of get the groove down. Zooscape is a really great game for 3 to 6 players. It is a betting wagering game. It is completely fluent throughout the entire game, and once you get it down, it kind of makes a lot of sense and a lot of people enjoy playing it. When you're breaking down different sides of the cages between people contesting, it's a lot of fun, and you can see the excitement grow as people are choosing the same side of the cage over and over, and everyone's like, oh my god. When it comes down to seeing yourself gather a lot of animal cards and seeing, oh no, I'm going to lose points for these because I have too many and so forth, oh man, was it fun. I ended up losing when I played it, and I had 24 points, and the person who won had 48 points. There's a huge variety of points that you can gather depending on what card you pick and what cards that may actually make you lose points because you have too many of it. It's a really fun game altogether.